Hey, so did anyone notice that among the big WX78 rework updates that there was a very small yet very noteworthy Wurt Rework too? If not, I'm not surprised given how hyped people are for the former. However, some of these changes here should get you just as jazzed in my opinion. Our Merm neighbor has gone and gotten herself, her family, and even her king some upgrades ranging from the insanely good to sneakily great. Let's glorp. And let us begin with the casual fact that Wurt is now the only character in the entire game that cannot and will not be disarmed by any means, not even via the big bad Berger. Her gripping abilities extend so far beyond any wetness mechanics now that she will not only be able to tank Berger better than anyone else, but even though Moose Goose is going to fail to honk whatever she is holding out of her hands. Strong grip indeed. This is a bigger deal than you might think. As is this. Frogs and Merms are no longer enemies. The mobs are completely neutral to one another if and when they happen to cross paths. Which, let's face it, isn't very often, sure, but you know who else is a Merm? Wurt. Yes, indeed, everybody. Wurt is now the queen of the amphibians, apparently, as there will be no aggro between her and frogs whatsoever. This here might be my new favorite perk. And no, I'm not just talking for Wurts. And quite frankly, it just keeps getting better, as befriending Merms has now become even easier than it already was. Sort of like Weber's spiders, mind you, where its Merms, or better yet, any fed Merms for that matter, will now become allies, even if they are not the ones actually being fed. There appears to be a 2 to 3 Merm limit for this mechanic, but still, it's incredibly efficient. I mean, honestly, all we've ever needed to recruit Merms were seeds and maybe a disguise if we weren't playing Wurt. Factor in this now, we can build armies so quickly. But while we are on the topic of loyal Merms, note that they will also be working together now better than ever. Follower Merms will now spring into action to help other Merms and or Wurt herself if either ones are under attack, something we have severely lacked for a long time. Not only that though, working Merms are now much more aware of where they actually are and what they're doing. In short, instead of wandering off to continue work further away from us than any other followers are supposed to be, they will now return to you very swiftly. Might not seem like too much there, but trust me, it is a nice quality of life tweak. It's good stuff, but be warned, as there is also a new way to kinda piss off some of our Merm friends here. For you see, killing any fish with loyal Merms nearby will immediately and literally disgust them, which in turn drops their loyalty to 0 instantly. Oddly enough, however, it's only loyal Merms that are impacted, so I feel like killing fish near normal Merms should also do something after this mechanic's been introduced. And it's also only for Wurt 2, which is kinda weirder, but this is probably a bug at the moment. But by the way, the Merms running away is not just cause it's morning and they aren't loyal anymore. Non-follower Merms will now try their absolute best to return home as quickly as possible from wherever they are in the world. So make note there too. Carrying on here, just like Wurt herself, all Merms in the game will now absolutely adore eating kelp and durians to the point that they will not lose any health and or sanity from eating either version of kelp and or durians. And yup, that's pretty much it. Oh, but it's time to move on to some other absolutely fantastic changes centered on the King of the Merms himself. The guy now throws out what appears to be 1 to 3 pieces of gold when traded in ocean fishies of various sizes. The bigger the better in that regard, of course. Not only that, rot has been completely removed from his loot table and is now replaced by cut reeds. I sorta kinda like farming rot in this way, but hey, reeds are still welcomed. Make note too, the new loot tables here will also extend to event ocean fish now in a pretty fun way by having the King of the Merms throw out lucky gold nuggets instead, as you can see. And finally, although perhaps not as important as the other topics, the King's eating speed is now impacted by the type of meal he is offered. Small stuff has him eating quick, of course. Medium fish and such see him taking a bit longer to chow down, and big crockpot meals take even longer to munch on. This means faster eating, which equates to faster trading overall, which is again a nice quality of life change at the end of the day. But as for some other notes to take away from this mini rework being overshadowed by the big rework, it is worth mentioning that the Clever Disguise, a Wurt specific craft that helps non-Wurt players interact with Merms in case you've forgotten, now has over double the durability as it once did, which means less switching characters and or disguise crafting via Wurt players, of course. To continue, Wurt now gains 1.33 sanity per minute when wearing a sea wreath atop her noggin, versus losing it like the rest of us out there, which I suppose does make a lot of sense, yes. But now this means that garlands do the exact opposite too, which is kinda weird. Instead of plus 1.33 sanity per minute, mere flowers atop Wurt's head now cause her to lose 1.33 sanity per minute, which again is nonsense because she still gains sanity by picking flowers anyways. So what gives? Yeah, I don't know about that one, Clay, but since we're here just throwing stuff out there and calling it Wurt mechanics, here is a non-Wurt mechanic in a Wurt mechanic video, as it kinda sorta still applies. Reeds now have regrowth, everybody. If they have been burned at any point and are now all gone from an area in a swamp, all you have to do is wait for spring and a certain amount of days, although I apologize, I'm not entirely sure how many days yet, and they'll grow back, as you can see. Not exactly in the same spots or in the same numbers, mind you, but still, this is a great change to worlds moving forward, especially ones with reed traps. And there you have it, everyone. A mini Wurt rework thrown into the mix with the WX rework updates. Now, I've noticed very little people even mentioning these upcoming changes, so here is hoping that I have brought some attention to them here today. And who knows, since Wurt's rework is also in beta form, perhaps she too will be receiving some of her own tweaks before the full release. Oh, and there are still a select few other bullet points here that I did not discuss or showcase, like an improvement to how clothing looks on Wurts, how grouped up creatures behave now, and more to be sure to check out for yourself. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wished to all, glorp glorp, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.